In terms of their sort of day-to-day management, I know that at the moment we're in winter, which is a bit of a nightmare for everybody. But can they live out? Do they do better with being in at night, out in the day? How can you manage them?
They can do either. We live all our mares out all year round, all our brood mares, apart from when they're actually foaling.
Really?
Yeah.
Our youngst up until an age tend to live out.
We have them out for the first year, and then as yearlings and 2-year-olds, they live out all year round.
Gosh, so you have them in at the minute because obviously they've worked and that kind of thing.
That's probably a lot of the reason why we have them in. It's a lot easier to manage them when they're in and clean.
And our ground's not very good, is it? We have a lot of clay in the soil, so it gets very boggy.
I can understand that. It's a nightmare.
I think
the babies
in or out.
The young ones we have just for the handling, so that they come in and they get turned out or brought in, groomed and feet picked up and things like that for the first year, so that it's done, and they've always got that good training, that good foundation then, and you can bring them in as 2-year-olds and they're very easy to do.
Yeah. I think they're absolutely fantastic, and the fact as well, because I think as well sometimes people think performance horses, thoroughbreds, I've got to keep in all the time. Sorry, when I say thoroughbred, I mean that kind of performance horse. I think I've got to keep it in all the time. I've got to wrap it in cotton wool. It's going to cost me a fortune. It's got to be stable all the time.
Ours are left to live
as possible,
as much like horses as possible, including the stallions. They all get turned out. And through the summer, everything's out all the time, as much as possible.
Really.
And we actually prefer not to try and bring them in and wrap them up and things like that. Yeah. It's good to keep them as horses.
I suppose that helps with the fact that they like to look at stuff and like things going on, because they are out living together, probably have no end of time. Yeah. So that's a really positive thing. I trust that you rug them up, or will they develop coats if left?
We tend to clip the ones that are being ridden, and they'll be rugged up. And the mares that are living out all year, they get rugged up when it gets very bad.
I think to be fair, most people do that nowadays.
Yeah.
So really, they're no more. They can potentially be no more effort to look after them.
They're very tough. They're very hardy. They cope very well with living out, don't they?